Okay, guys, let's start the session. A warm welcome to all the students and participants from Chirec International School. Before I start the session, a special note of thanks to the entire school management uh, and the school spokes and coordinators for giving us this opportunity to interact with some of the prospective students who are planning abroad, and the students would definitely would want to know about the session and the topics. So myself, I'm Mr. Vasudev. I'm the regional manager for Manya, the Princeton Review, and we have been associated with study abroad test prep for students for almost 2 decades. And every year we also conduct in-campus trainings for students of Chirec. Um, and some students also come down to us for taking up the standardized test programs like SAT, IELTS, TOEFL, and so on. So, welcome on board. We will be discussing about the topic and the subject, which is clearly mentioned on the slide. How do we write some effective essays for college application process, and what are its repercussions? What are its do's and don'ts, and what are the advantages, and how critical and important is this aspect in ensuring that a student who is intending to get an admit from any of the top schools in US or anywhere of the world, how critical is this topic. So I also have some special guests in my session today on behalf of Manya. She is Miss Sharda. She is also in our panel, and she is a specialized editor as well. For more than 15 years, she has been in the relevant field, and we would together try and see to give you some of the best insights, some of the best inputs to the students, so that you all can make important points, notes of it, and keep these things in mind as and when you start working on your college applications and the future process in terms of your career academic upgradations for your graduation programs. Fine. So let's get on with the subject. How do we write effective college application? So we would be discussing on three crucial components and elements when we talk about the college application essays preparation. The first part obviously would be why do you think that these parameters of an essays are very important, so critical, so crucial, and that would be the part one of our discussion. And slowly we will also try to understand if this is evident, this is inevitable, and this is what makes an application make or break an admit into a top school. The second question would be that how are we supposed to get on with preparing our essays, and finally we will be also trying to know about what are the things which have to be incorporated while we develop an essay, and what are the do's and don'ts. So this is how the flow would be there, and all of us would be also sharing our Q&A in the end, so that we will try and give our best possible queries answered, and then you will get your doubts clarified. So why do you think we always feel that application essays are supposed to be very important, and the college authorities are going to take these things very, very seriously? So this is very clear that there are certain standard requirements every college would be trying to keep in mind, and the standard requirements would be obviously the resume of the student, the of academic portion of your school performance from ninth standard and beyond, and what are the extracurricular activities which you would be trying to look into. And thereafter you will also be trying to understand the importance of essays and so on. So it all talks about the need for this particular thing. So the need of this essay is trying to make yourself build a story about what is not there in your resume, and what the college authorities are going to understand about you as an individual, as a good fruitful resource, as a future student who can make the school proud, and what are other abilities, your skill sets, your good skills, and your challenging opportunities. Everything has to be part of your things. So when we actually apply for any college for getting an admit over there, there would be a panel in the college, what we normally call as a college application committee team. So we should understand what is the need for them to know about all these things in the form of an essay, because we all know that every student will take up a standardized test scores like an SAT score or a TOEFL score, and school academic documents are also there, but that really doesn't give them an opportunity to gauge the personality of the student, to gauge the dreams of the students, to gauge the ambitions or the creativity skills or the emotional quotient of the student. So they would like to know more about a student in the form of an essay, which is not part of your resume precisely. So this becomes a very critical element for them, because while we think that we are planning to get an admit into some top school, but on the other side of the same coin, even the admit committee, college admission committee, also feels why this particular student has to given an opportunity to join in that reputed school or college. So what is a spark in you which they would like to identify, for which they would like to assess your presentation skills and your capabilities, and so on. The reason is very simple. uh, Success breeds success. So if a college is investing on a student to give an admit and welcome you on board into their campus, they always would like to give an admit to such students where they would like to see some sort of a indicators which are visible in your profile, some indicators which are displayed or presented through your essays, which clearly tells that you are a stepping stone towards a future success. So our showcasing always has to be helping the college board or the admission committee to clearly make it so presentable, and try to show them that you are an indicator for future success by virtue of the way you have built and capsulated your entire profile. And why do you think a future success oriented students whose indicators have to be checked in this form is necessary? It's very simple. College would like to admit students where their reputation is at stake. They want successful students to be on board. More successful students will be giving a better success stories after passing out from those schools and colleges, and thereby it's a cyclic phenomena. Good students, successful students, bright students with all the combined skills of having a good test scores, good academics, good extracurricular activities, which are quite common in most of the applicants. So what is going to be the differentiating factor is that what more you would like to speak about yourself, what more you would like to convey about yourself, which is quite appealing appealing for the college board people to think that yes, this guy is quite impressive. And it's not just about impressing somebody. They should get a feeling that the way you present your essays, they should get a feeling that yes, I want this boy to be part of my campus. So for committees, for admission committees, they would like to consider you as an investor. So they want to invest on you. So you have to be so well planned, so well prepared, trying to understand the ground rules of the Western countries and the Western colleges. There is a cross cultural platform. We all come from a different part of the continent. We have grown up and brought up in a different culture, so there is a cultural difference also. So we need to keep in mind that what type of colleges we are applying, what is their requirements, what set of expectations those colleges are having on us, and basis that we should also try to incorporate our own, those killer instincts, which are quite convincing for the committee members to look into the profile, peep into the essays, and understand you more, and then feel that you are going to be a very good resource for their college to bring more success out of it. So they want to see those things which are very quite evident in your essay formations. So I'm sure that most of you will agree that these are the major components which every application must possess, and these are the components which college committee members also would like to see in every case. And I'm sure that most of the students who are applying for some top schools obviously would be gunning somewhere around 1400 and above scores. So when hundreds of applications come with similar ratings, hundreds of applications come with similar SAT scores, and a lot of extracurricular activities and so on are also equally showcased. What makes only selected applications being shortlisted and then finalized and freezed? So these are key parameters, but at the same time, we should also know what is the order of preference, what is the priorities, what is the critical factors in the ranks. Can anyone guess how do you rank these 5 points which are available? Just for an understanding, can you all rate according to you, which of these 5 points are the top parameters ranked in a serial of rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Which is the topmost, which is the second required most, which is the third, fourth, and fifth? Can you just share it on the chat screen? So let me summarize. This would be, the way the priorities are being given, the priorities have been checked, and how the order of preference goes for the selection committee, and how important is the today's session on what is essay all about, how it should be done, how it should not be done, and why is this important, is a whole discussion which we are all trying to have it today. So extracurricular activities clearly tells that what is a new which is not part of your school, what is a new which is not part of your certificates, what are the learning activities which you have done. So whenever you are trying to share your experiences, either through in the form of achievements, that is what you have, all your extracurricular activities, or your experiences which you are trying to convey on any of the related topic, any of your personal stories, or any of your recent experiences in the past. So essays are going to try to bring out what has been the learning out of the whole practice. So they are not just looking at, I did this, and after I spent so much of time on so and so activities, and this is the outcome. So they would like to see your transition from the beginning point where what you were, and over a period of time when you have transformed yourself into developing certain objectives and milestones. What is the transition during which you have evolved yourself? How did you discover your own inner skills? What new components of yourself you might have discovered? And these are the things which they would like to know more. And it's not just about success. Every human being on earth would be experiencing tough times, bad times, rough times, and so on. So the meaning is to how good are you coming out of your experiences, what tough challenges you have faced in a very positive note, and during bad times how are you trying to overcome, and then continue to be a successful student. So these things will make the student very clear in convincing the admission committee, saying that I would like to take on with this type of programs, and therefore this is how I try to deserve, and this is how I'm trying to feel more content to get into admissions. There will be certain scenarios. Let's take a simple example of two students having the same GPAs, two students having coming out from the same school, or they are having a similar SAT score. How do these campuses they try to identify who is the better than the other? And when students are representing a school, it is not just a school. A student is representing his family, he is representing his nation, and then he is trying to defend his own skill sets. And the competitor is not the other school friend who is also applying. The competitor is someone from a different country, from a different continent altogether, who comes from a different culture, everything. So at a global platform, when an application goes, never see your best friend sitting or a best buddy sitting in your class next to you is your competitor. Some student from Singapore could be a competitor, some student from Australia, Canada, or a US citizen. So you are no more trying to compete with your domestic things. You are trying to compete yourself with at an international level. Obviously, when their expectations are need to be set at par, these are how you are supposed to portray. And then they have to really try to understand what are you up to and how are you trying to things. So when two students having the similar scorings and rankings, obviously the profile which talks about the personality, experiences, the positivity, and all these things are going to be the deciding factor. So this slide we would try to talk about what is the prime purpose of your application essays. So the important parameters would be, right, your essays has to speak about yourself. The essays have to talk about your behavioral traits and things. So it all matters about how effective, how creative, how interesting your story can be put across. A good story attracts good audience. An interesting story sticks the audience to your subject. And how well are you trying to make it appealing, how well are you trying to send on the messages, or conveying the audience saying that I'm the best person, I'm the right student, I have these abilities and skill sets which may not be part of my resume. And that's how, beyond your routine stuff like your grades, school certificates, test scores, and other school activity certificates, this would be a great opportunity. Students have to take this application essay as a wonderful platform, as an one time opportunity to use it to the best of its capabilities, to best of your potential, and then prove a point that why do you deserve to get a seat from a top admit, what skills are there which are there in you, which needs to be expressed it out, not just to impress it out, you have to express it out well. And how it has impacted your life and your future learning. So we are now talking about how to create this particular effective application. This is the part 2. So just to summarize part 1 which we have just finished, it all talks about the need of the application essays, because that is what trying to make you stand out of the crowd, that is what going to make you get recognized, that is what going to uniquely get identified by the college admission committee people, saying that this boy, this girl has got lot of inner instinct, this student has got lot of extra abilities and thought process in a different creative mind. And that is what makes them to invest on you and invite you to be part of their school, and then study there with more successful stories. So admission colleges committee, they will try to think you as an investor, and they would like to invest you by giving you an opportunity. And to get that conclusion, to get that decision, you have to give them a feeling that you are the right student to be part of that. Never be content saying that I might have shared my profile, I might have shared my resume, Therefore, my resume talks all about success stories. It is not so. Essays are not your resumes. Essays are everything which your resume cannot include. So you need to use this one single golden opportunity to the best of your abilities and prove your caliber, and then that's how they try to evaluate. So committees evaluate the personalities of the students, not looking at your SAT scores. They try to analyze the personality and the mindset and success indicating factors of the students basis the way you have gone through your essays, the way you have spoken about yourself through your essays, and that is what makes it very, very important and critical. So part two, what we are talking about is what is that we are trying to do it, and how is it, how is it we are supposed to do it, and how to do it your effective college applications. Very important is that you have to really invest on time. It's not about money, it's about your efforts, it's about your time. The more thought process you give, the more time you spend for preparing it. You might have to sit for lot many hours to understand. The first cut always would be something different, then you need to rework on that, make a lot of changes, improvise it, and then try to make it more interesting. And it should start with something, it should have the body very crisp, and it should have a good conclusion factors. So the first and foremost is that please do not think that though this is important, I can still push it to the last minute of my applications basis my deadlines. Absolutely not. You have to the sooner you start spending time on what sort of essays which you would like to build upon, and how do you start it. You will first pen down everything, you will voice out whatever your experiences, then you will start fine tuning it, obviously with some special guidance and special support from certified and qualified people. Then therefore you will try to understand that is that essay is actually covering the intent of your expression, is it covering as per the college authorities expectations, and end of the day, is it trying to create the impact on what is that you are trying to convey. So these elements should not be diluted, and anything which you hurry up, anything you do it in the last minute, I'm sure that that will be definitely not be the best outcome of what you would have ideally thought about. So spending time, taking time, and giving time in these manners on your essays will always create a better outcome, a more polished output, and then you will have ample time to validate it, cross check it, and then go on with submitting in a right manner. So what are the qualities which, when you submit your college essays, what qualities it should depict? What are the points which it should portray about you? What are you are? So you have to carry your own key elements which should be covered directly or indirectly. Your intellectual curiosity, how good a resource are you, how have been evolved, you know how good are you taking at your initiative. So when you talk about your experiences, when you talk about your sharing some good practices, and how good are you in observing it, and then trying to take a note out of it. So open minds are most welcome, challenging minds are most welcome. Students who are consistently on the top but never undergone a downtrend, they have never faced a defeat, so they do not know how to overcome a defeat. So you should not just try to convey that you are always being a successful whole through life. No human being would have that type of a static line. We have to have a combination to tell what are the abilities for you to bounce back when you also face certain tough challenges or some critical scenarios. They would like to see your response to the society, they would like to see your response to your environmental factors and your surroundings. How good are you as an element in taking initiatives, or you're throwing challenges, you're accepting challenges, and do you have the risk taking abilities? Because you have to have that willpower to try and take opportunities as it comes, and at the same time be a risk taker to try out differently, think differently, and so on. So when your essays are talking about any subject matter, be it a professional, career, personal, anything, it should in precise ensure that all these points are properly covered. The meaning of these points are, they when they try to scan through your essay, they should really like to understand these things are very much covered or not. Any one of these point, if is absolutely contradicting to what you're writing, probably they might feel that no, let me look at an alternate student who has got a better reasoning for all these points. So these are never to be ignored point which the student have to take up. And very important is know the game rules, know the ground rules, right? And understand that all colleges will not have same expectations, all colleges will not have same style of delivery, teaching, projects, and so on. So every university, every school has got its own specialized subjects, they have got its own different way of approach. So when you are planning things, uh, failing to prepare is nothing but preparing to fail. So your preparation starts from even a basic point of identifying which schools you are planning to apply, what are the pros and cons of the schools, what are the good bad things about the school. It's like, when you are going for an interview for any job, you would definitely try to know what is the company all about, what does the company deliver, what type of services it does, and the in and out of the organization, how we in a basic sense. In the similar way, when I am planning to apply, there should be a reasoning. What skills are you good at? Are you good in research? Are you good in sports? Are you good in creativity? Are you good in analytical things? So every school and college has got its own unique specific set of areas of focus which they are very very good and keen at. So if I know more about that school, if I do bit of more research about those school or the college, obviously I am trying to connect myself in a better way. The college speaks about something and my expectations and my interest is something else contrasting. No matter how good the student is, they might feel that probably the right guy coming to the wrong campus or the wrong guy going to the right campus and so on. In both cases, you will be at a loser end. So important point is that every small element of your planning should link up to see that the right student builds the right profile, gives the right essays and the subject which is appealing to the school of the or the college of the student's interest. So we need to keep this in mind, and then you do bit of research on your choice of universities where you would dream to land up there. Know more about the universities, then see what is that you are planning to incorporate in your in your profile, which is making more sense for them to attract you, making more sense for them to invest on you, and making them get a feel that this student has got, it's like a wow profile, and that's it. That is not the objective. It is, your profile should not be just said by somebody it's a wow profile. They should say that wow, this is a good profile and I want this guy to be in my campus. So what is that you are trying to convey and express, how beautifully you are trying to explain about your experiences and sharing, which creates that interest for the recruiter of the college to see that I want to meet this boy in my campus. I want this boy to be part of my campus. That feeling is what they would like to see in your presentation or in your content which you are trying to explain. So this college knowledge of knowledge about the college where you are planning to apply will always add more insights for you to shape your presentation which is relevant to the audience college, and that is how they are also going to feel that there is some similarity. My projects, my college specializations, your likes, your dislikes, your future plans, your dream projects, both are in sync. When they find that yes, we match together, they would love to give you a platform to be part of that campus and say that now this is a platform. Your story speaks about so many things. We are quite convinced about what you have been doing all these days in a 360 degrees angle of co-curriculum, extra curriculum, and all other things. And that is where they would like to invite the students and come to the campus. So to know little bit more in detail about what are the things which needs to be prompts and what points we need to emphasize and showcase and so on, we have a very special guest, as I've introduced in the beginning of the session, Miss Sharda, and she is very much a subject matter expert on exclusively about the profiles and editings and essay applications and so on. She got tons and loads of information which we feel that, she being part of this session today, she will also try to throw some light and some insight and give you a little bit of more technical insights on what are the do's and don'ts of these things and how one needs to keep in mind before they present themselves. So I invite my colleague Ms. Sharda to also join this session now, and from here on let her also share her experiences and insights and advice and suggestions, because she might have seen hundreds of students going abroad all these years, and experience matters a lot, it counts a lot, and she has got rich experience to share and add more meaning for the subject for today's session. And then we can have a bit of more summarization in the end. So I request Sharda to speak up from here.
Hi Vasu, thank you so much for the special welcome. Thanks a lot.
Sharda, we
I'm
can't.
sorry, I'm so sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. So I hope everyone is able to hear me.
Yes, now we can hear you. Please go on.
Right. What I was saying was, first of all, good afternoon, and thank you, Vasu, for such a special welcome. It's really heartening to see so many students for the webinar today. For me, who's been in this industry for a very long time and worked closely with students and my team for college applications, I think you guys are really very serious about your application. That's what your presence in the session, actually depicts. So before we proceed further, I have a quick question to ask from the attendees. So can you just quickly prompt which class are you from? I've been given to understand that most of you are from class 12. So can you just quickly say, whether you're in 12th or 11th? Okay. Arya is in 11th, 12th. Okay. 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 So I'm assuming that most of you, are from class 12. And another quick question I have is that, are you targeting, the fall 2021 intake? Which means, are you applying this year or are you targeting fall 2022? So what's your plan? So can you quickly tell me whether you're targeting 21 or 22? Okay, 21. All right. And which, okay, so Arya says 22. Great. And which particular destination are you targeting? Okay, US, Canada. All right, all right. So what I understand is that most of you are targeting the US. So thank you so much. Thank you for your prompt responses. So before I proceed, with the present slide, thank you so much, Vasudev, for such a detailed explanation about the college application process, and talking about how important and why are they important, to start with. So Vasu, you said in your presentation towards the end that the admissions committee should feel that I want this person to be a part of this campus, right? And that's what the college application essays of yours will that's what that's the importance of your college application essays. So actually your college application essay should be so effective that the admissions person, the person of the admissions committee who's reading your application, becomes an advocate for your admission. So this person says that this application is so good, the student has so much potential, so we must take the student, right? And that will only happen when you put in the right kind of investment in terms of effort and time into your applications, right? And the second thing I wanted to say was that it's very important not just to give information in the essays, but to really answer the question asked, to really portray a picture of yourself, because the person who is actually reading your application is not going to get time more than 5 or 10 minutes actually, because there are thousands and thousands of applications that universities get from their domestic students and international students applicants. So therefore it's like the first impression is the last impression. So your essays have to be really effective. I need to work very, very hard on that. And thirdly, writing effective essays involves two aspects. Of course, you need to be good in writing, you need to be good in English, but more important than that is that you should be able to project about yourself, and you should be able to answer what the question is looking for. So it requires a skill set which is not just about writing in good English, but it is also about understanding what to write and how to write. So this is just a quick summary, from where Vasu left. And now, since most of you had, mentioned that you actually are targeting to study in the US, so I believe most of you understand that, most of the universities, to which students apply, they apply through the Common App, right? The Common Application. And in the Common Application, there is one essay of 650 words that you need to submit as part of the Common App, right? And for this one question, there are several options. So there are multiple questions available, and you have to choose one prompt, and you have to write an essay on that in 650 words and submit. In addition to that, there are supplemental essays also. So for example, let's say if Yale is a part of Common App, so Yale, you will submit your Common App essay. In addition to that, Yale University or the college will have additional set of essays that you need to write. So the number of those supplemental or additional essays could differ from college to college. So some college may ask for 2-3 questions, some college may ask for 5-6 questions. For example, Yale asks for a very short questions of sometimes 50 words each. And then you also have essays. So if somebody is applying to the universities of California, then of course they have their own platform through which you write UC essays, right? So that is for USA. Now, if you're applying to UK, though I know that most of the crowd that has joined today are basically mostly targeting US or Canada, but I thought it's a good opportunity to talk about UK. So UK, like you have Common App in the US, similarly, a common application system in UK is called UCAS, which is Universities and College Admission Service. So a student can actually apply through UCAS to 5 universities. So does that mean the student has to write, essay for each university? No. There is a common personal statement, you know, that the student has to submit, common to all 5 colleges, and submit that personal statement. And because it's common to all colleges, it's actually not a university specific personal statement, it's a course specific personal statement. So in that personal statement, you're not going to say, I am going to for example, I'm going to apply to Warwick, or I'm going to apply to LSE. You're going to mostly talk about why your interests and why you have decided to apply to the UK, and why for the particular course that you have targeted. In other countries, the European countries and other countries, so the requirement could differ from college to college, but normally it's either a statement of purpose, or a personal statement, or a letter of recommendation. So a statement of purpose or personal statement is very similar to the personal statement you have in UK, but in this case, or in the case of other countries, you can also talk about why you're applying to a particular university, right? So that's the difference. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about each types of these personal statements or essays, but I just wanted to give you an overall idea. So shall we proceed? Is that clear to all? Okay. So I'll first talk about Common App, and since most of you are for US, and then I will come to UK and other countries. Like I said, that as part of the Common App, when you have to submit your essays, there is only one essay that you need to submit of 650 words. But for that essay, there are multiple prompts or essay questions that you can choose from, right? So these are the essay questions from 1 to 6, and then additional, there is also an essay of your own choice. So you, out of these options, these 7 options, you have to choose just one essay question, right? And you need to write an essay and submit your Common App essay. So the first question is about that you come from a particular background or identity or interest or talent, without which your application would be incomplete. And here the AdCom is expecting you to write that story that makes your background or identity or interest or talent so meaningful and unique. So like Vasu has been saying in the previous slides, it's about storytelling. So you have to tell about your story, right? The second is the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you? And what did you learn from the experience? So one thing I just want to, make you be at peace about, is about the fact that it's okay to fail in life, or it's okay to have obstacles in life. It does not mean that because you've had a bad experience and you have learned from it, you should not write about it in your essays. You should write about it. So universities are very open to it, as long as you have taken learnings out of it and you have improved further. So there is this one option where you can talk about such setbacks and failures, and how you got affected and what did you learn from it. Because as long as you have learned from it and it becomes a reason for further success, it's a great essay. Then third is reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or an idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? So Vasu said that one of the qualities that you could project is intellectual curiosity, right? So this is that question actually which tests your intellectual curiosity. So if you think that you are a very intellectually curious person and you have such an experience where you've questioned or challenged a belief or an idea, then maybe you could go for this essay. Describe a problem you've solved or would like to solve. It could be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything, right? And it's significance to you and what steps you took. So if you're a great problem solver and you feel that that's a very integral part of your application, then maybe it can be best projected through this essay question. Then is discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself and others. So this is one. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? So like I get very fascinated when it comes to space and international space station and the all the space expeditions. So I and especially after work, after a tiring day, I love to read about it. I love to look at NASA videos. So if you have such maybe this kind of passion or curiosity or any other type of so maybe and you are that kind of person who I mean loses track of time because of such an interest, you could perhaps take this essay. Now if you feel that maybe out of these first 6 questions I may not have a really clear cut answer for any of them, then there is also an additional option where you could write anything of your choice, right? So you could have your own prompt. It could be the topic of the essay could be completely on your own. So the universities are giving students a very wide platform to decide what they want to write and why they want to write on that. So these are the common application essay prompts which I wanted to talk about. And the UCAS personal statement, which is for UK, like I said, it is one personal statement common to all 5 universities. And the word limit of this UCAS personal statement is actually 4,000 characters with spaces, which is approximately 600-650 words. So in within 600-650 words, you have to talk about your interest, your passion, and why are you going for a particular subject, etc., etc. Right? So what you need to focus on in your personal statement is, for example, if you're applying for business management, right, and for a business program, so maybe you could talk about that first instance in your life when you developed this interest in business management. Perhaps you come from a business family and you went with your father to his company and you got really captivated with the way he was managing. So talk about that initial spark that led to that interest in that field, and how did you continue with that spark further? What all did you try? Did you ask questions from your dad? Did you read about businesses further? And so what all did you do and how did you develop an understanding of business? Or how did you, so business also involves leadership skills or teamwork, so how did you apply those skills in your school, right? So you talk about your interests, you talk about your experiences in the subject of your choice for which you're applying, and then slowly come into the fact that why you want to study this particular subject. Why do you want to study business management, right? And after that, after you've explained your past, your experiences which led to an interest in this field, and then you go on to why you want to study this further, you of course should talk about that what are the skills that you're wanting to gain by studying this course. Then you talk about that why are you applying to UK, because it's a personal statement common to all 5 colleges. You cannot write the name of the university, so you can't say I'm applying to Warwick because, or I'm applying to LSE because. No, so it has to be very common. So you will commonly talk about that why are you applying to a UK university, and how is the education system going to be very helpful for you, and how studying business management in UK is going to help you, what kind of courses you will get study. So this is what a personal statement looks like, and it's a 600-650 word personal statement, which means that you don't have a lot of words here to spend talking a lot about things. So one should really avoid repeating the resume in that case, because your resume has all the details, and like Vasu said, resume has everything, but the story part, the why part, the curiosity part has to come into your personal statement. So this is about UCAS, and this thing would be similar for a statement of purpose or a motivation letter for any other country, except that the only thing that will be different is that because it will be a SOP for a particular university or a personal statement or a motivation letter, you can also talk about why you are going to willing to study at this a particular university for your undergraduate studies. So what curriculum of the the curriculum of the course that you're applying for, how is it different, what kind of courses you would like to study, which professor would you like to associate with, and why, how his interest and his your interest and his research work, how are they connected. So then that becomes a university specific statement of purpose. So this is about generally like uh, what the prompts are, and what's the expectation of the universities, in terms of, or how you have to actually write about it. And before I proceed further, like Vasu said, that it's very important to research the university website. So I want to share a disturbing aspect with you. I'm sorry to use that word disturbing, but let's say of 90% of the applicants that who have applied, through Manya, we have seen that students, when they are addressing a university specific prompt, for example, if someone asks them that why are you applying to Cornell, and when they have to answer that prompt, students are clueless and they expect editors to find that information for them, which is a little disturbing, because the student himself or herself chose Cornell, right? That he or she wanted to study at Cornell. So when you are actually shortlisting your universities, when you are actually deciding which university to apply to, why you want to apply to a particular university is something that you should address at that time. So your funda should be clear before choosing a university to apply. So let's say if you're deciding a list of 5 universities, you should thoroughly do your research then, and then come to the conclusion that, okay, these are the 5 universities I apply to. And you should not think about that fact when you're writing your essay. But so this is what happens, and it creates a lot of confusion at the last moment. So while of course it's a good idea when you're answering prompts, that it's important to go through the university website and research, my advice will be that when you're choosing your colleges, your list of colleges, at that time also do a very thorough research, so that you do not have regrets tomorrow of choosing that university. Say for example, if you don't do a great research and you just by hearsay choose a college because everybody is going there, and you apply there and you go get an admit, and eventually when you go, you realize, no, this is not the kind of college that I wanted to. So it's a waste of your time, and maybe you would not like to complete your 4 years, let's say for US or Canada, or 3 years for UK, because you just didn't like the college. So had you done your research in advance, it would have helped you choose the right college. So I'm talking about the importance of research here. Shall we proceed? Great. Okay. So now comes so Vasu covered the why part of college application essays, and also to a great extent the how part. Now, how do you write? So for example, if there is a prompt, there's an essay question, how do you write on this? Now, one thing that I want to tell you is that when you are applying through Common App, and like I said, Common App has 6 essay questions and 1 additional option where you can choose your own topic. So it should be chosen, the question that you want to write for should be chosen very carefully. So it should not be that you randomly pick a question. So if I go back to this, so you should not just randomly pick up any question and say, okay, I'm going to write about it. No, there has to be a lot of careful planning in choosing the right question. So what you could do is, so let's say there are 6 questions and I'm applying abroad. So first I'll go through these prompts, and it's very important to understand also what these prompts are asking for. So it's important to see what question they're asking for, and also try and analyze the question behind the question. What's the hidden question that they are trying to seek answer for? So once you understand what each prompt means and what you need to write, out of the 6 questions, you decide, let's say that for question number let's say 6, I do not have an answer. Okay, let's say you decide I do not have an answer for question 6. Then what happens? You eliminate that question. So you take that question away and say, okay, I have nothing to write in this. After having known what I need, what they're asking for, I keep it aside. So you use the process of elimination. Now you have 5 questions, right? And let's say you figure out another question for which you have no answer. So let's say question number 2, you don't have an answer, you have nothing to write about, you eliminate it. Now for the remaining 1, 2, 4 and 5, you have 4 prompts. Do one thing, write down answers for each question, rough answers for each of those 4 questions. Maybe not a proper elaborate paragraph style essay, but maybe in form of bullet points. Okay, write down the answers and then compare that in which essay question you have more meat to cover and you have more relevant stuff to cover, and you feel that in that question you're able to really portray your personality in the best possible manner. So let's say out of 3-4 questions, you write bullet points for each, and you figure out that maybe for 1 or 2 questions I really do not have anything. The answer I've written, but it's not sufficient. So then you eliminate those 2 questions also, and then you have remaining 2 questions. Now for those remaining 2 questions, you write down proper essays and again compare them, and again see which essay is really close to your true personality and you have lots to write about. Then out of those 2, you choose 1 question and you write a proper essay on that and you submit it. So it is very, very important to use this process of elimination to arrive at the right question. Is that clear? Does that sound like doable? Can I have? Okay. Do you think you can do that? It's not so difficult as it seems when you start doing it. Like for example, when you appear for your paper, what do? You try and see, okay, which are the questions I can answer immediately right now, and for which I have to think later. You keep those questions aside and you first start answering the easier ones, and you move to the others. So here you're just eliminating questions for which you probably do not have anything to share, and this will ensure that you pick the question which is closest to the personality type that you want to portray. Okay, so this is about Common App. One sec. Yeah. So now the next is that once you have figured out, like I said, the first step is that for all the options, you reflect that what is the question asking for, how many sub questions are there in a question, right? So a lot of questions, have like reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. So you have to talk about that time. Then they say what prompted your thinking. Then they say what was the outcome. So there are actually 3 questions in that 1 question. So there are 3 sub questions. So identify what are the sub questions, what are the hidden questions. You figure out. Then write down like ideas for all questions, or except the options that you have completely eliminated. And then from that, the essays that you have answered 4, 5 in form of points, you pick the right option for yourself, or the best, most suitable option. And there, from the essay you have chosen, you talk in a storytelling format, the anecdotal approach. So what is anecdotal approach? So we spoke about this word storytelling, right? So what is storytelling? What is story? Story is like an anecdote, right? So if you want to make your essay interesting, it's better to adopt a story or anecdotal approach. That is because everybody likes to read stories. Nobody would like to have a lecture on things, right? So if somebody wants to talk about an interest in space, just talking about how beautiful the space is, or what does it consist of, and what is an ISS, just it's not going to make the essay particularly appealing. But if you talk about when was the first time you got captivated by this, and what did you do at that time? Do you have a kind of a telescope where through which you can see the stars? So that becomes, the second part becomes more interesting. So storytelling approach is important. Talk about events and stories which have made you what you are and impacted your growth. When you're talking about a story, yes, introduce the story, but do not make the story the entire essay. So, for example, if someone says talk about a experience in your life which was a failure, just talking about the bad experience is not going to be enough. You have to talk about, yes, what happened and how did you fail, but then from that you have to move on and you have to cover that what was your reaction with that failure and how did you overcome it. So it's the focus of the application has to remain on you and your thought process about what you thought, what you felt, what you did, right? More than the story. So normally the approach that we have when we are writing essays is covered into three parts. One is introduction, uh, you know, uh, kind of an initial, introduction to the story. Let's say if you're talking about a particular incident, you introduce the incident, but don't cover the entire essay, with the incident. After the introduction, talk about what was your action and reaction to that incident. That will become the body of your essay. About the actions you took or the thought process you went through, that becomes the body. And through the actions, what did you learn or what did you determine to do becomes your conclusion. So if someone is interested in space, so introducing the anecdote that okay, I watched this video of the SpaceX Dragon being launched, and how you got very interested. And then in the body, what you will do, you will talk about how did you learn about this further, what did you read further, why did it really appeal to you, and towards the end, what will be the conclusion? The conclusion could be that you want to pursue an astrophysics from MIT. So that becomes your conclusion or that becomes your reflection. So this is how you have to divide your essay question. And you have to ensure that you're addressing each part of your essay question or even the sub questions in that particular essay. So this is about, so we covered till now how to write and how to arrive at the right prompt and how to understand what the prompt is asking for. Now there are certain do's and don'ts and certain basic hygiene factors which are important as to what to write to create effective college application essays. So first I'll go to do's and don'ts. So first is things that you should do while writing your effective college application essays and things you should not do. Okay. Now, first thing is that essay is actually a medium to talk about something which is not covered by the other parts of your application. So the story which is not covered through your resume, the story which is not covered through the activity section of your Common App, or the basic information of your Common App, talk about it in the essay. So if you feel it should not be that you the same thing which you have explained completely in your resume about particular experience, the same thing you're repeating here. No. So reveal something which is not covered in other parts of your application. Okay. Second, show, don't tell. So instead of saying I am very curious, I love being curious, that is saying you're telling I'm curious. But how will I believe this? Why should I believe you if you say I am curious? No, I won't believe you, because you have to give me examples. You have to share stories, or you have to share a story to prove how you have been curious, which means you have to show. You don't have to tell. So you have to show through actual examples, through actual anecdotes, that you are someone who is very curious. Yeah. For example, let's take this recent example of Sushant Singh Rajput. Did he ever say to people, "Oh, I am very curious"? No. But we all knew that he was very curious because he had a mini telescope at home and he loved, dealing with physics and dynamics and, so through his anecdotes or through his stories, we got to know that he's curious. So the same thing actually applies when you're talking about your interests in your essays. Demonstrate knowledge about the college you're applying to. So that's why I said it's very, very important to research the university, the program page of your website, the university page of your website, of this university website, very, very clearly before starting to write the essay. Address each part of the question. I think I've said this completely. Use your own voice. I would recommend that please write the essays on your own. do not depend on anyone, your parents, your elders, anyone to write the essay, because then it will clearly project that you have not written the essay. You don't need to write bombastic English to make your essay effective. Sometimes an English can be very well written in terms of bombastic language, but it may not answer the question, so that essay is of no use. Simple English, simple language which any layperson can understand and which is covering all parts of the essay question is a successful essay. So please write essays yourself. Use active voice. Active voice means, I think you understand what active and passive voice means, but just to give you an example, I did this is active voice, and passive voice is this what done by me, right? So the focus has to be on yourself. So I did this, right? Stick to the word limit. So if the essay question says 650 words, it is 650 words. It cannot be 651 words. So please ensure that you don't do that, because if you're pasting the essay answer onto the box in the application, and if the word limit is 650 and you've written 655 words, the last 5 words will get cut. So please stick to the word limit and seek feedback after you've written your essay. So at least show your essay to at least another person and take feedback. Because there might be something that you are not able to see, which the other person is able to see and can give you feedback on. Then, of course, don'ts. Do not copy paste stuff from your resume. Do not copy paste from any website, from anything from the net. Please do not use plagiarized content for your resume, for your application. Even if the question says why you want to apply to a particular university, do not copy paste. And please understand that universities have tons and tons of experience, and they can make out if the essay is plagiarized or not. And if your essay is plagiarized and it's found out, it can lead to an instant rejection. So please do not do that. Do not make a desperate attempt to please the outcome. Be very confident about telling about yourself. Don't say in the essay or in the SOP that I request the AdCom to accept me. No, you are not supposed to address the AdCom in your essays. Proofread your essays well. Yes, very important. Grammar check, a manual grammar check is very, very important. Sometimes some people use some softwares like Grammarly and all. It may not be wrong to use that, but sometimes it can have a very different opinion on certain aspects, and sometimes it may not pick every error. Okay, so it's important to do a manual proofread of your essays also. And like we said in the beginning, time is of the essence. Please invest lots of time, right? So if someone is targeting 2021, which means they will have deadlines this year, this is the right time. I mean, ideally July would have been the right time to start, but please start right away with. And even if you have deadlines in November, December, or Jan, this is the right time. Okay, and Common App essays are out already. The application is started already. Don't make it a summary of your accomplishments. I achieved this, I achieved that. Don't make it like a list of accomplishments which you have in your resume. No, they don't want people who brag about themselves. Let them decide whether you're really worth it. So you don't have to brag about it. Don't talk about sensitive topics where there's for which there is a lot of sensitive reaction. Humor, why you are so lucky. Really don't talk about these aspects, and don't talk about illegal things and controversial aspects as such. So this is about essays. Now I just quickly want to ask you, do you have any questions at this stage? I will answer them in the end, but if you can start posting your questions, maybe it's a good idea.
Sharda, I would like to add something here.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Probably while I was speaking in the middle of the session, I think at 2:36, I could see one question raised by one student, Kriti Malik. So her doubt was, sir, you had told us about the order of importance of application elements, that is extracurricular activities, essays, grades, test scores, and recommendation letters. Students' question about this is, aren't the grades and test scores the statistics that provides as an incentive for the college to look at your application further? So I'm sure that while every element of those 5 points mentioned, irrespective of the rankings and ratings and gradings, every point is very much important, and it clearly defines and distinguishes every student from another student. But the whole objective of emphasizing on essays is that while two students can have an average score, the way you put up your essays probably takes a little bit of advantage, but that doesn't demean that the other parameters are of less importance or of less specializations. So I hope I've clarified this doubt to that student. All are important, but what makes distinct is clearly differs from student to student. Two students can have same gradings, two students can have same ratings, but the way they have built uh, definitely has to show the difference. And that is where we are all discussing in the session today, that how can you make your story very unique, special and appealing.
Yes, Vasu, thank you so much. So I'll just quickly go to that question also, and also the question before that, which was asked by Meghna Koneru. So Meghna asked that, do we need to upload resume apart from filling in the Common App? I think in the Common App, there is an activity section where you can write down your list of activities, and there is also an option of uploading your resume. So yes, if you think that your resume covers more details about your activities and your accomplishments more than what you have written in the application, you can go ahead and upload a resume. I mean, most of the students that we work for, for college applications, we do work on the resume and they do upload the resume. Coming back to the question of Kritika Malik. So there are some things like entry requirements, right? So let's say if a university says that the minimum score requirement is 1450, for example, or the test score, is like, for example, this is the grade that is required. Let's say 3 or 3.2, etc. So when the university or the college lists out that requirement and you have that score, so it becomes a minimum eligibility requirement, that yes, you need the score and you need the grades for to meet the minimum eligibility requirement. So yes, they're important at that stage, but like Vasu said, that once you meet those minimum eligibility requirements, then what will differentiate you is the essays and other aspects of your application. Again, there are different kinds of universities: public universities, private universities, liberal arts colleges. So public universities or large universities where there are a lot of students, they test scores and grades become far more important, okay, as compared to colleges which are private or liberal arts, where qualitative aspect of the application is far more important. So if you're applying to a college which has uh, a lot of students or a big class size, there of course more emphasis will be given to grades and test scores. So it differs from the kind of college also you apply to, but you can easily say that yes, we are not saying, so if it's 100%, maybe there is some particular percentage for essays, some particular percentage for tests and grade scores. So all are important, and of course tests and grade scores are important. I mean, grades are important, if they have to consider you for scholarship. So please don't think that because essays are important, something else becomes unimportant. Kritish, I hope I've answered your question. And Meghna, yes, I think I answered this question earlier, that yes, you can upload your resume. In the Common App application, there's an activities section. In the additional information, you can upload. There is a possibility of uploading the resume. Okay, so we'll quickly, the last two slides, I'll quickly take you through. Though the majority of the webinar was about essays, but I'll quickly take you through the resume and maybe the letters of recommendation also. So college resume, so which are the 4 important years which the university is going to look at in terms of your school, performance? It's class 9 onwards, class 9, 10th, 11th, and 12th. So in your college resume, you should have your academic qualifications and grades. Also mention the board that you come from, whether it's IB or whether it's CBSE or ICSE. Talk about your awards and achievements, whether it's academic awards and achievements or extracurricular awards that you've got. If you have done any project which is related to the program you're applying for, talk about that project, what that project is about, and what was your role, what was your contribution, etc. Talk about leadership responsibilities that you have taken, because universities, colleges abroad, they also look at people, who are self starters, who take initiative, so who have leadership potential in them. So sometimes you may have leadership potential, or you have done something related to leadership without being a designated leader. That's okay. So talk about positions of responsibility. Talk about extracurricular activities that you have participated in, whether you have participated in declamation or sports, also community service engagements. If you have done in this period, you have done something to raise awareness about COVID, with the general public or within your school, then if you have done something, please do add. It will make a lot of difference. One important aspect is that if you have a lot of information to write about in your resume, please choose what to write. So if you have a lot of inter-school, inter-house, inter-batch or whatever, these kind of achievements, maybe they are not so important. More important is if you have some district or state or international level participations, whether it is in Olympiads or MUN or cultural participation or sports participation, then give more importance to them. Of course, if you do not have district, state, national or international level, then maybe you will have to talk about the inter-school and inter-house, etc. But if you have a lot and you have some inter-house and you also have district and state, so focus on those district, state and national, etc. Level participations. Because then when you're applying to top colleges, inter-house and within the school level may not be sufficient achievements to showcase in your application. And apart from that, the letters of recommendation, again, the aspect of letter of recommendation is something similar to what we said, in the do's and don'ts of college writing, that show, don't tell, right? So in the college LORs also, when your teacher is recommending you, that is the point that you need to remember. Your teacher does not have to only keep saying this person is intelligent, this person is curious, this person is fantastic, but actually talk about those instances where you displayed those qualities, right? So that qualities with real examples, right? So the structure of letters of recommendation. So you normally submit 3 letters of recommendation if you're applying to US colleges. So each letter of recommendation should have an introduction where your recommender is talking about when did the recommender meet you, how long, since when the recommender knows you, how many years, what he or she taught you, and one line validation about your overall quality, what he or she thinks about you. And then the next set of paragraphs, the next 3 paragraphs should talk about each of your qualities with relevant examples, right? So if this person felt that you're very intellectually curious, so the person can say that in class, this person asks a lot of questions and once, asked this question on this topic. So to show that you're really intellectually curious, and so on for quality 2, and then for quality 3. And quality 3 normally can be even soft skills. It can be communication skills or written skills, and then a conclusion where the person is again validating that I recommend such a brilliant student, etc., to this university or to this prestigious college. So LOR will only saying this person is fantastic, very good, without actually citing why the person feels that, is not going to make the letter of recommendation good. So that is why examples and real instances are very important. And apart from writing good LORs, it is also very important, letters of recommendation, it is also very important to choose a recommender who can write about you, who has worked with you for a long time and has positive feedback to give for you. So choosing the recommender also is very important before you start writing a letter of recommendation. So this is what is about college LORs. So I hope you could understand all of these aspects. And now, in the interest of time, I would suggest that if you have any further questions, you can now ask if you have any specific questions, and we'll try to answer them as much as possible. Hi, can everyone hear me? Do you have any questions, or is it all clear? Hello.
Yeah, yeah, Shadda, I'm pretty sure it's all clear, crystal clear, all clarity.
Okay, no questions means the webinar was very good.
Of course.
or but we can still wait for 2 minutes. We have a little bit of time, so we can wait. And if you have any specific question with respect to essays, and you can ask. And if you want to know further about the process, you can also reach out to us on our phone number and the email ID for any further questions. But for now, we can wait for 5 more minutes, and if you have anything, you can ask.
I'm also sharing my email address to all the students.
Thank you, Meghna. I'm so happy, that we have so many students attending our session today, because this really shows how important you consider, the application essays. And I think that the fact that you have attended the session today means you're on the right path, and you're going to be definitely successful. So it was clear to everyone. Are you all geared up to do your best with your applications? Arush, that's a good question. See, it depends. So if your university that you're applying to, if they have said that it's important to have two subject tests, SAT subject test or one SAT subject test. So if they have it as a minimum requirement and you are not able to meet that, of course it will affect. But otherwise, if the university has not said anything, it does not become a reason for rejection if you're not taken any SAT subject test. Okay, I think that's a wonderful question, Arya. See, you don't have to particularly submit certificates for everything that you write in your resume, right? As long as you know you have worked. So if you genuinely feel you have done something and you have contributed a lot for that, and you don't have a certificate, that's fine. Please go ahead and write, right? Because universities are going to take it on face value, that the fact that you've given such a particular information in your resume or application, they will take it as being truthful, because they will expect the students to be truthful about it, right? So please go ahead and write, right? But if you have not done anything, a particular thing, let's say for example somebody's not founded a club but written I founded a club, then that's wrong, because you've not done it and you've written it. And tomorrow if the university, let's say, looking at your resume and you're admitted and they expect you to do such a thing in your college abroad, and you're unable to do it, then they will assume that you lied in your application. So if you've done something, even if you don't have certificates, please go ahead and write them. Thank you. Anything else? We have 3 minutes. Test optional. Meghna, can you just simplify your question? Are you? You mean applying without giving the test? Right. So it will depend. So, for example, when you're applying to Canada, there are a lot, so not all universities show, what you say, not all universities ask for SAT or a test score. So if the university does not have a requirement, they have not mentioned, then of course, it's then it's optional. But if it is specified that this is the minimum requirement, then you have to meet it. For test optional universities, it is not something that you would be at a disadvantage as such. But considering that there could be students who are applying with the test, maybe it's a good idea to give it also. Yeah. So it's not that if they do not have a test score requirement and you do not give the test, it does not mean that you are at a disadvantage. I don't have the UCSA prompts in my slide right now. 1 minute. But I can just, maybe overall share with you. 1 minute.
Meanwhile, my piece of advice to Meghna would be that do not cut down your opportunities and scopes to only looking at a test optional way. Better to carry the weightage of having an SAT score because you never know, at the last minute you might also land up or end up applying for universities where test is mandatory. So it will unnecessarily cut down your scope by not applying with scores. And that also, in a way, when you are preparing, it also gives a confidence and seriousness that you have been uh, planning and preparing for quite some long time, and the way you are prepared also gives an indication to the authorities that you are quite serious about it, and you still had it in your mind for last 1.5 year. So it gives a positive thing. It's up to the universities. Some might be optional, some might be mandatory, but you voluntarily giving up a test and applying, it will only cut down your opportunities in a few of the universities, which ideally you should not do so.
Right. Thank you so much, Paswa. Yes, that's very, very valid. Coming to UC prompts, right now the UC prompts for 2021, I think they're not available yet. But for 2019, 2020, so there are 8 prompts that were given, and out of which 4 had to be written for 350 words each. So there were questions like describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over a period of time. Then there was a prompt on, every person has a creative side and problem solving, original, innovative thinking. Express your creative side. Then what is your greatest talent and skill? How have you developed and demonstrated that talent over time? uh, Talk about how you've taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or work to overcome any educational barrier. So there are 8 options. There were 8 options last year. So again, there are multiple options out of which you have to actually choose 4 options, right? So if you go on the UC website also, you can check it. Now, with Arush's question, how creative can we be while writing our essays if they capture our answers better? So I think I think you be natural. I think first important thing is not to be scared or overwhelmed, but you be natural. And like I said, how creative. So if the question that you want to answer has a story attached to it from your life, then say it in a storytelling manner. So that's how you can be creative. So you don't have to go deliberately yourself to be creative or to be different, but just be natural and try and convey that thing in a storytelling format. For the 8th question in the UCs, how would someone answer it? So I think the 8th question, so I don't think this is really the 8th question that you are referring to, but I think the 8th question was that beyond what has already been mentioned in your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admissions to the University of California? So Tanya, are you talking about this question? Tanya, are you asking? Tanya, yeah. So in this case, see again, so this is like a additional optional question. So if you have been not, I mean, there is some aspect of your application which you have not been able to cover in any of the through any of the previous options, then this is the place where you can write about it, right? So if something that you have not shared or have not been able to share through the other options about some experience of your life or some skill or talent, or maybe you come from an educational background, maybe you came from a family where there were a lot of challenges to education, and how you really struggled to pursue your education, or where you have to really express your wish and need to pursue education. So all the stories that you could not cover in other questions, you could cover in that. And if you want to know more, so you can get in touch with us, and talk to and seek one-on-one counseling through these numbers. And Vasudev has already shared his email ID. So is it
Thank
all
you,
clear?
Shanta. I think it was a wonderful session and interaction we both had with some of the bright students of Chirec. I once again thank the entire school management and especially the SPOC coordinator, Miss Veena, for giving us the option and share most of our insights and guide the students better. So hope this would be an eye opener for most of the students and their friends. In future, we'll try to see what more can we take it up and come down to your platform and share more insights on different aspects of different services. And end of the day, it's a win-win situation where knowledge is getting shared and we are learning new things every day, and that's how we have to be open to take more inputs and then move on with our careers and future plans. So wish you all the very best, students, and hope to be in touch. And anything, I've already shared my email ID. Please share back your feedbacks and comments so that we will definitely discuss further what more can we come up to and help the students of your elite school. So thanks. Have a great Sunday. Stay happy. Stay safe. Good day.
Hi Vasu, sorry to interrupt. Thank you so much, everyone. I think this was a wonderful opportunity for me to interact with all of you. I will. I'm sorry, I'll have to leave the session right now. But Vasu, before we sign off and you sign off, can you just address this last question of Rohit Reddy? If
So
possible, and I'll like to move out if that's okay.
okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Thank you so much, everyone. Wish you all the best,
Thanks,
and
Sharda.
stay safe. Thank you. Bye.
So what Rohit speaks is about your importance of SAT as a first and foremost requirement. Yes, it is one of the prerequisites. It is obviously when the application goes, it should go in full form and shape. So we cannot have an application being passed on to certain schools where whatever the prerequisites are being mentioned, and if we definitely say it is not taken, it's up to the school authorities that or the college officials that how important and serious are they about your SAT, and hence they might definitely keep it as a second option compared to other different co-applicants who are also coming up to apply with little bit of more seriousness. So having an SAT score, no doubt, is a very critical and crucial part of the preparation, because that gives the impact of being serious, being attentive, and being trying to stick to the guidelines and academic disciplines and so on. And hence we should definitely not overlook that and take it easy. The scores might vary. The scores might be plus or minus. That's the second way of debating. But yes, a student applies without an SAT gives a different opinion about himself or herself altogether, versus a student clearly prompts about their preparation and their planned willingness. So even a student goes for an embassy interview and tries to showcase all his preparations. You have been planning for admissions quite a long time, and SAT is one such clear-cut proof that I've taken this test, I've been preparing for more than a year or so. This clearly tells that the planning was way back, and there's every reason why you should be given a visa. So it's not just trying to talk with the college perspective, even for the embassy people also, they would also like to get know that how serious are you with your study abroad plans and so on. Hope that answers your query, Rohit. Okay, friends, let's call it a day. Thank you and wish you all the best once again. Good day.